I usually do these videos in the morning, but today I'm going to be, um, my things got away from me, and we're going to talk about land trusts. We talked about living trusts. Okay, so a trust, all a trust is, it's an envelope of legal protection for your assets, protecting them against, you know, somebody trying to steal them, uh, fraud, taxes, all right, and but you can transfer assets within the trust. The trust owns the asset, whether real estate or any asset. Could be gold, could be art, could be anything, right? There's something called a land trust, which is specifically for land. Now, I was in the mortgage real estate business transitioning to financial services in it was the 2008 mortgage crisis, and this guy comes to the office and he wants to talk to people about land trusts, but so they referred him to me because of my background. So he pretty much is the one that educated me on land trusts. So, um, an example of how it's been used, it's not new, is Walt Disney. Walt Disney purchased the orchards that he built Disney World on. It was so basically it was a lease option contract for deed, but they put the property in a land trust. So Walt Disney and the farmer that owned the orchards were both beneficiaries of the trust, and they had an agreement that in like 3 years they would um, they would settle, right? Um, Walt Disney would buy the land outright, or whatever. Well, this guy decided, seeing what they were doing, that he didn't want to do that. He wanted an equity position with Disney World, right? Which probably paid him a lot more than it would if he would have sold that land for the market value. All right. So, but you can do that. You can sell your beneficiary interest in a trust. And then when you do that, you are not subject to increased property taxes on the property because the trust is the owner and it didn't change hands. The trust still owns that land or that asset. Okay. Um, crypto is a big one when it comes to uh, capital gains. So there's like XRP is considered a utility, so it's taxed as a commodity at like 15% like max. Okay. But if it's like Bitcoin or any other designated crypto, then the short term capital gains is like 60%. So that means if it blows up, you get into a cryptocurrency that just blows up, all right, and you sell your crypto at the higher value, you're going to take a 60% hit. So what they'll do is they'll borrow against it and they'll pay the interest. Okay? And they're paying themselves back anyways if they decide to pay it back. How you doing, Larry? And hope you're learning something on this. I'm gonna post the video on my website, mybusinessisyourbusiness.info anyways. Okay. But there's these, land trusts are specifically for land. Okay. So what people will do, this guy had this idea that with the mortgage crisis, right? These people that had these option arms and the interest that they paid the negam rate, and then they after 13 months it recast and they paid uh, interest only on the higher balance, because what they didn't pay in interest when they paid the 1% negam got added to the principal, and they were getting in default. So he felt that they could set them up in a land trust. Investors could have a beneficiary interest within the land trust, all right, and then bail them out, right, and then they have so much time to pay them off. Nobody wanted to do that, right? But now since the COVID crisis and interest rates dropped, there's all kinds of like under 4%, like 2.5% mortgages out there, right? and people are looking at 6 or 7% now. See, those people that have those really really low interest rates, this would be something very appealing to be able to sell, get out from under that payment, right? But still maintain interest in the property until they get their own financing and pay it off, or they find another buyer that so you can get your money, right? But it's a way to sell a property, right? Especially if you got those low, like historically low interest rates. They can't get that anywhere else. They can only get it from you. Okay, so those type of properties, oh yeah, Gary, you're funny. Yeah. Anyway, so this is what this is an option to for anybody looking to buy property. The people that are doing this, the NACA financing, 100% financing, owner occupied, lower interest rate than the conforming rate. Okay, this could be something if they later on down the road they want to sell that property, they could do it via the land trust and just sell out their beneficiary interest, and the new buyer is going to be subject to the lower rate they got through the NACA program. And there's a banner on my website with a link to the NACA website, and you can set up a consultation. Okay, and then I can show you how to pay that mortgage off significantly faster and save that same money, right, in a tax advantage account. It's called the family banking strategy or the infinite banking strategy, right? So that's why I promote it, right? Because you got to have a reason to want what I got. Otherwise, I may as well be talking to the wall. All right. Well, I hope everybody has a good weekend and have a good night. And thank you for joining. All right.